Hello and welcome to On the Move. We are Matt and Betsy, and we are on an adventure to explore the province of Prince Edward Island. And today it's hurting a little. We've come through Hurricane Fiona. So if you're watching this, we're in October of 2022, and the biggest hurricane to hit this island came through 2 weeks ago now.
Well, those who have been living without power since the hurricane came through are counting day 18.
Yes, and we're recording this on Tuesday.
Yes.
So you'll see this a little bit further. Most of the province does now have power, as do we, which we're very thankful for, but not everyone.
No.
And so it's been an adventure. Some are now being very thankful and cheerful for what they have because we missed a lot of things, and some are still waiting for that sort of thing. So we wanted to give you a little update and give you the perspective of those on the island who went through it, a bit from ourselves and a bit from people that we knew.
From our neighbors and around, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for anyone who watches over at Fleece and Harmony, I'm just going to say I apologize if any of this is repeat. I did do a little update with Kim as well. So some of it you'll have already heard, but you may hear other details that I didn't share there, as that was not the focus of our Fleece and Harmony podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll go back to kind of the beginning of it. It was about the Tuesday before the hurricane hit that we started to get news that it was going to reach Atlantic Canada, and in some way, shape, or form, we were going to feel the effects of it. And it kept changing daily as to what we might get.
Really did not know at that point.
No.
And the thing with weather is you can never know. So there was chit chat among us sometimes, like, well, should we be doing something to prepare? What do we do? This is not hurricanes here of sizable power are not all that common. No. So nobody was really like boarding windows up or anything. We were mostly just encouraged to put away any like outdoor lawn chair.
Yeah, like our trampoline, we disassembled it.
We did, yeah.
Some talked about maybe flipping it over, but we decided no, we're just going to take it apart.
We have seen winds, like trampolines that have just gotten caught by gusts of wind, and they seem to be like the perfect sail. So we have decided we weren't even going to take a risk with that.
Yeah, that's the one thing we did. I knew others made sure they like extended out their eaves troughs and gutters, or the drainage system for that.
We knew rain would come with it too.
Yes, that we get rain. And so what happened is, starting on the Friday, we already had kind of this low pressure system going on. So we got a lot of rain on Friday, which we hadn't had here much rain at all.
No, not in August. It
probably contributed to our problems. But it was calm. So we all worked and did our regular lives on Friday. Yeah. And then Friday evening, things started to pick up and the wind started to blow.
Well, what happened for me, I was having a little more heartbreak at work. So many of you have heard me talking about the PEI Fiber Festival that was up and coming, and we were anticipating it, working hard at work, getting prepared for it. So right up until Thursday night, Friday morning, we're trying to decide, does this event go on? I'm saying we, not that I was part of the committee to make this decision by any means, but just feeling I work with and was in support of those who do make those decisions, and so feeling that pressure for them of, do we have this continue? We had guests already here on the island that had arrived for this event, both those attending the event as well as some sort of special invited guests, as well as some vendors and speakers. And we had speakers calling and saying, like, they're standing at the airport or at the airplane saying, do I get on this plane or don't I? And so just the immense pressure of trying to make the right call for everybody's safety, but also the fact that they've been trying to plan this event for 3 years now. COVID kind of took it out the first 2 years, and then just the absolute heartbreak of, in the end, having to decide and say, yes, we're canceling, which in hindsight was the right call. But you don't know that when the storm hasn't actually arrived yet. Yeah. So you're trying to, because you don't want to make this big call and say it's canceled for thousands of people and then have it be a bright and beautiful sunny day because it changed direction and blew past. Yeah. But that is not what happened.
Yeah. And so there were other events too. The Fall Flavors Festival, we've talked a little bit about that, was also happening around this time. And so there were a number of events that either got canceled or they got shifted. definitely affected our culinary industry here on the island.
Which in the end, I think everybody agrees, was the right call.
Yes.
There's not a single person out there, I don't think, who was saying, oh no, we should have gone ahead with this event. So in the end, it was the right call to cancel it. Just heartbreaking for those who've spent months and years planning and investing in these events and then unable to host them.
Yeah. So Friday evening, things started to pick up in the way of weather. The wind started to blow. For us, the way the hurricane came past the island a little bit to the east of us, the eye of it. So we were kind of getting a swirl of wind that was coming from the north down around the eye of the hurricane. And we went to bed 10 regular time. We had power.
Windy and stormy, but just
And then it wasn't probably too long after that we lost power here, and probably for a lot of other folks too.
That I was prepared for.
Yeah,
I
we all
assumed
expected.
we were going to lose power because we'll lose power in a blizzard in the winter, but usually we're talking 11, 12 hours and they have it up and running.
Yeah.
So even with the loss of power, we weren't really too shooken up at that time.
So in the middle of the night, we're hearing the wind and we're feeling it shake, and we're not the only ones with that. Some people we have kind of a 1.5 story home. People who have 2-story or bigger homes said they could really feel things shaking. Yeah. People who were not, they moved off the top floors, made sure they were down on main floors or basements.
I think part of why we could feel it as intensely as we did is the headboard of our bed is actually right up against, which would be kind of a northwest wall, which is where the wind was coming from. So we were right against the wall that was taking the most force of the wind. So I think that's part of why we could feel it. And then our youngest also said she could feel it because for her, it's like a built-in cubby bed kind of thing. So she's attached to the wall. So again, she was feeling a bit of that shake and rumble. And then our
oldest slept through it.
Slept right through. Nothing. At about 2 a.m., I was feeling nervous, and I was like, I'm not sleeping anyway. I'm not going to lie here and just kind of shake and shudder and be all upset and anxious. So I'm just getting up. So I went down to the main floor. I think I lit some candles, and just sat in my chair, and I pretended to read a little bit, pretended to look at my knitting and yarn, but mostly I just wanted my brain to be fully awake because I can get really irrational when I'm in a half sleep state. So I thought it'd be healthier for me to just be awake.
Yeah.
So at that point I'm thinking, should I check on the girls? They're not babies. I figured if they're really nervous or upset, they'll come and look and ask questions. So again, I peeked in at the oldest and dead asleep. But I didn't want to peek on the youngest because I didn't want to wake her and then have her upset. But she was the one who was actually in there feeling pretty nervous, so I should have. But anyway, so that was how I kind of, just a couple hours in the middle of the night, and then I was tired enough that I thought, okay, I'll go back to bed for a few more hours here.
Yeah, and so the main thing that I remember from the night is every now and then we'd hear the thump, 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 thump.
Oh, yes.
And then nothing for a while. But you didn't really know at the time what that was. In the morning, when I went out to
I continued to do that.
Yes, periodically. So in the morning I went out and got our generator out of the garage, kind of crossing my fingers because we've run the generator.
But we hadn't used it, which I am so grateful we actually got because we were totally procrastinating on it. Yeah. We've had the house set up to have, I don't know what you call it, like we have an actual... I think it's called
the pony panel.
A pony panel, okay, all right. We have that put in, so it's not difficult to flip over to our generator, but we hadn't actually, the whole story is we had purchased a generator. It was the wrong one. We had returned it.
Our fault.
Yeah, we had returned it, and then we did that in the spring, and then we hadn't actually gone and gotten the proper one because we were thinking winter. We'll need it come winter. But you ran into a sale, I think.
And so first of all, we lost power at an odd time for us. Random time. And it was like 6 hours.
Yeah.
But then I thought, okay, I need to go get one. Turned out there was one on sale. I'm like, all right, I'm doing it today.
So I got a text that said, happy anniversary. Not our wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
And it was a generator. But let me tell you, people, I will not complain about that wedding anniversary gift ever. It was beautiful, wonderful, everything a woman could ask for.
As a side note, if you're not somebody who's worked with generators before, and we didn't really, I kind of knew this, but I didn't know it firsthand. when you plug in and run a generator for your home, you can't run it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
No, you don't operate full power
Full
like
power
you would
on-
with electricity.
Like a lot of our home is set up that we can run on a generator, but you can only do that for about a maximum of 7 hours, and then you have
at time
and then you have to give it a rest
for that same amount of time.
so that your generator will continue to work for you in the future. So it's not like, oh, we plug in the generator and we don't care for the
We
next
carry on with
few
life
days.
as usual.
No, it was kind of an on and off to make sure that the fridge was cold and the freezer was still frozen, and that we could run some water. Basically.
So we kind of broke ours up into kind of 3 segments for the day. We would run it first thing in the morning to get the fridge and freezer back to temp. Also just so what we didn't plan for is we forgot that our hot water heater is electric. Now, maybe we made the right choice anyway.
Again,
We've heard
our
from
fault.
some people that heating your hot water tank takes a lot out of your generator. So maybe the fact that we didn't have hot water in the end was okay. However, we had water, so it was pumping up from the well, which is great because there are individuals who were actually carrying water
And
for
haul
a
water
significant
from
amount of
neighbors
time.
or other places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had water, but it was cold. So in order to clean up and quote unquote shower, it was either a cold shower, which Matthew and the girls braved. No way. I knew there was an availability to have hot water. So I boiled about 6 pots full of water and just made a little what I called my bird bath, puddle bath that I could have to keep clean. So.
Yeah. So that was, I think we sidetracked a bit when we got to the generator. But the morning, I plug in the generator, it works. Yay. But what we also see at that point, both myself and my youngest are looking around and we realize there's shingles all over the grass. And so, and again, we're not the only ones who had this happen, and we did not have the worst of it. We're very thankful for that. But we lost a fair number of shingles off our roof.
Well, we will be needing to get a new roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after it all, what we've done, we've kind of done a little bit of patching, and we've got a big tarp on our roof. And again, lots of people in this scenario right now.
Yeah.
So we're on a list
Yeah.
to get a new roof, probably in the spring.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, we cross our fingers that we have a calm winter and that everything holds up for us. Because we did get a bit of rain that came in our roof too.
Yeah.
One of our lights no longer really works because it got flooded with water.
So, I mean, yes, stuff happened to our property. We are somewhat thankful in the sense that we don't have any trees. So major tree damage and tree falling and just trees everywhere came down on this island.
It's like in some places, because there are places where there are like pine or spruce forests that are maybe 40 years old, so they're quite tall, just
gone,
flattened.
Yeah, just gone.
Yeah.
So we're jumping around here because it's a bit chaotic, because it was chaotic. And there is still parts of it that are just, they haven't even been able to get to clean up yet. So there have been cleanup chainsaw road crews out there. Maritime Electric had crews out. They sent crews from other provinces.
In the Army, they sent the
Army came out to help just kind of chop down the trees and clear so that the electrical companies could even get in to begin to put poles back up and wires back up and trees off wires and wires off houses. And so just quite a mess going on that needed to be cleaned up, and that takes time and that takes a lot of people power. So just people everywhere helping neighbors, helping just trying to put things back together kind of as quickly but safely as possible.
Trying to make a little bit of a joke of it. The joke was, when you stand and you're still and everything is quiet these days, what do you hear? Chainsaws and generators. that is the bass sound of Prince Edward Island.
That was Prince Edward Island in the fall.
In the fall.
This 2022.
Yes.
So it was fantastic to see all of the neighbors and community come together to attempt to help each other out and do what they could. We're very grateful. I did hear of one accident of someone on a very experienced person, but it's just going to happen. You have hundreds of people up on roofs removing trees. Something is going to happen, and he fell, but so thankful that he is okay. My coworker's family member. We're just so happy that it wasn't a worse situation than it could have been. So people just helping each other left, right, and center. We went over to the Police and Harmony farm, helping chop up some trees there and just
them off of
hauling.
fences.
Yes, their main thankfully they were, again, no buildings lost over there. Their animals were all okay, but they did have some trees down on fences. So we helped. That was first priority, to get the animal fences back up. And
some are easy to move, and other ones take a lot of thought. Like over at the church that we attend, they have some very, very old trees on their property.
Things that you could not get your arms around.
Well, there was one that I took a picture of. I'll show here. And I was counting the rings on it. I think I counted that tree was at least 180 years old. And it came over. So there are lots of stories of that. Certainly the tree population on the island here has been affected, and the trees will be vastly different over the next little while here.
And we were talking about, it's upsetting and it's devastating to individuals when you walk out and your building is destroyed or gone. Part of the good to that is that it can be rebuilt. You cannot rebuild a 180-year-old tree.
At least not.
That is not going to happen in our lifetime. No, we're not going to see those big old trees. So it's kind of, there's just some devastation, and it's just on the back of, the world has been facing some really difficult times lately, and so people were already stressed, and it just added a lot of tension and stress on top of that.
So by the numbers for us, here you go. This is we've counted.
Numbers. Okay.
So we were 11 and a half days without power, which again was longer than some, but there are some as we speak today who are don't have power yet. We ran our generator for 90.4 hours in that time to keep things going.
That depends also on how much you choose to run it as well, and such too. But it was strange to be, because we had to keep our eye on that. We had to keep going out. Oh, that was the other thing. So gas, the first few days was a bit of a panic because the pumps. So our local one, we've talked of Cooper's many times. Cooper's pumps were actually blown right over. So the gas is there down in the ground in the tanks, but there's no pumps to get it out, and then there's no power to pump it up and get it out. So there were lineups at gas stations that were hours long.
We fortunately managed to avoid that for the most part.
Well, we had filled up both vehicles and the jerry can the day before the storm happened, and so we were able to just kind of push through and make it through until things started to kind of return.
It's probably about the first 3 days, there was a real scarcity of fuel on the island. So there were huge lineups in places that were constantly out. And then by about day 4, most gas stations were operating and had some gas and diesel.
And then we started to see some heartwarming pop-up things. So an advertisement went out that one of the gas companies, I don't want to misname it, so unless Irving. You know, it was Irving for sure. Irving. So Irving actually gave away gas. So you could go, they had a truck pull in, and they had the individuals who could safely dispense that, and you were allowed to come and fill up
2 jerry cans
worth of gas. And they gave it away.
There were companies giving away shingles. Not that it was necessarily going to match your roof, but it would patch.
When you're in this kind of a situation, vanity out the window.
There were places that were giving away food too. I know our
Restaurants.
our bakery, Country Taste, they did like pay what you can pizza and some ready-made meals as well.
There was, I want to say, again, I don't want to get it wrong, one of the breweries I know in a town not too far from us did a couple nights. One night was I think like a hot dog sausage night. There was another restaurant that did a spaghetti night. And then there was some of the community halls or the...
once they got power to the community centers.
Then the community centers started offering community meals as well. So you could come in and get your dinner. And there's still some going at it.
I know that for Thanksgiving was this past weekend.
That's right.
And there were community centers offering Thanksgiving dinners if you couldn't do it yourself.
Yeah, because if you're on a generator, you're not going to want to do a whole turkey dinner. And then there's also, they opened up what they were calling warming stations. So things like the ferry terminal. Some of the community centers that were up and running, their change rooms, their hockey change rooms, they were able to get up and going and offering hot showers to people, places to just come and get clean.
Get coffee and tea and hot chocolate.
Yeah, exactly. Literally a warming station.
Charge your devices.
And then one of the campgrounds I know opened up and offered laundry services. Because of course, and we discovered that we tried to do laundry in our washing machine, but a washing machine draws a lot of power.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
No.
Even though it only works on like a regular plug.
It still, so it would run fine, but the braking system, when it was done the spin cycle, was making awful noises. So of course I'm like, great, on top of everything else, the washing machine is braking. And so I was feeling really miffed about that. But once we got it off the generator, and my coworker said, it might be that the generator just doesn't have enough power to do it, and it's been running fine
Sure
since.
enough, that was it.
So again, we had neighbors who were willing to offer us laundry services as soon as they had their power up. So people were really kind of like, as soon as they got power back, they turned around and started offering things to their neighbors and community to really help out. So that was wonderful to see people just taking care of each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Overall, I think.
Yeah.
It will be ongoing and devastating thing for this island. This will be something that we as Canadians, and especially as Maritimers, love to tell stories. So stories of Fiona will live on for many, many years, I'm sure. So there's devastation that's come. But also with that has been shown the heart of the people here on Prince Edward Island and how generous and supportive they are. And we are now as a part of that. We managed to put on a dinner for some people who were visiting.
Well, some of the guests who had come to be at the Fiber Festival and were here were also left without power, and went through quite an adventure for a trip that they took that was unexpected, but they stuck it out with us, and so we wanted to do something for them as well. So we were able to come up with a dinner that we could serve, and all around, just in the midst of a really difficult and awkward time, we were still able to build community and friendship.
Yeah, I would say through this, the community building part of Prince Edward Island was given a little boost actually through Fiona, because people had no choice but to rely on each other and come together. Sometimes I think as North Americans we need that, a reason to reach out to one another, because otherwise we can be kind of insular in our own little homes and families. So that was heartwarming.
To see, And I also want to acknowledge, because I just can't not, if you were watching this today and that was not your circumstance and that was not your experience, first of all, I am sorry and I am apologetic that was not your case. I encourage you to, if you're in that situation still, to reach out, try talking to a neighbor. Don't be afraid to say that, you're really struggling with this and you need some help, even if it's just coming to terms with everything that's happened. Anyway, I just always want to put that out there and acknowledge that not everyone has community around them to build them up and to help them to feel cared for and loved. So,
So all in all, we wanted to let you know we're still here. We're still loving this island, although it's a little bit different than it was a couple of weeks ago.
My good old neighbor, who I have great times with and is always full of stories, and he has seen 83 or 82 some odd years of this earth. First thing he said to me is, "So are you packing up and leaving?" And I said, "No way, George." I said, "I love this island. She's got a temper, but I love her. So a bit of wind isn't going to send me packing just yet."
So for the next couple of weeks, maybe think about your fellow Canadians here on Prince Edward Island, if you are Canadian, or if you're abroad, think about us a little bit, and we will do our best to do the same for you and other situations that are going on around the world. Have a lovely 2 weeks, and we'll see you again soon.
Take care.